How to use multiple teammates in a breakaway to try and gain an advantage. This is Vuelta a Andalucia stage 5, the final stage. It's been a very similar parkour every single day, up and down, medium mountain. This finishes with a 6.5k, 5.5% climb. Wout Poels started the day with 10 seconds on Miguel Angel Lopez, but a huge breakaway formed. No GC threats in that break, so Bahrain were very content to pace for the last third of this stage with Poels in yellow and no one really looking like doing anything. There's a long valley before the last climb, so a long attack or raid for Astana just not possible. They'd have to wait until the last climb to do something if they were going to do anything. But in this breakaway we have Serrano with Oliveira for Movistar, but Bora Hansgrohe have 3 riders. Emmanuel Buchmann, he's getting his legs back under him after some years disrupted by crashes. This is the second last climb before a long valley. They choose to attack on this climb because they've got Kämna and Buchmann, good climbers, to weaken the group. Try and get others to follow and try and close Buchmann, and they might try a different strategy if this was the same parkour but they have 3 guys who are strong flat riders like Pollitt and Purstleberger. Maybe they would try and go easy on the climbs and attack on the descents. Meanwhile, they have Lennard Kämna in the back marking specific riders. He's marking Covey, he's marking Sheffield, and I think Serrano as well. Meanwhile, the peloton does this, so I forget about them. And even better for Buchmann when he's joined by Lorenzo Fortunato and Jimmy Janssens, who offer him some support, and he's not going to go all in with them either. Meanwhile, poor Trenton has had a pretty thankless week so far. Now that that climb's finished, Bora Hansgrohe and UAE as well, because they've got Covey in this group who's been very strong uphill. They just want to get through the next 24 kilometers before the final climb with the group intact, because Bora know Kämna and Buchmann probably the strongest climbers in this group, and UAE Covey similarly. And Bora Hansgrohe, whether this is intentional or not, they space their 3 riders along the group. They don't all bunch up together so that when someone inevitably does try and attack on the flat, like Oliveira, a strong rouleur, they have Vandal, who's not their lead 2 options. They're using him pretty much to just close attacks on the flat and pace the group on the flat as well. He can respond to moves pretty quickly rather than and then Kämna can go to the back to the car, talk about how they should approach the last climb and refuel. In a peloton, again, Kazakh national champ, I think, appeared. First time I've seen Yaman since the start of this race, but that's not really going to concern Bahrain pacing on the flat. They get to the climb. Trentin and Vandal, their work is done. They've got their leaders to the climb together. Yolo are pacing, I think, for Fortunato. Clark begins to drop under pressure, and Buchmann does the same thing. They're trying to bleed Covey and Sheffield, and Kämna doesn't mark everything in this race, but he marks certain riders, and Sheffield and Covey, who've both won stages here, he has to mark those riders, whereas maybe Jimmy Janssens wouldn't be marking him. And this is another key thing that's rarely spoken about in how to win from a breakaway or use numbers: being prepared to lose and trusting the odds. Bora Hansgrohe right here called Covey's bluff. They have 2 riders. There's Sheffield there as well, and they refuse to close down, I think, Serrano from Movistar, and they completely bait Covey into closing this down when Covey's just had to close down Buchmann. So this is a second move for Covey, and effectively the Movistar rider is working in Bora Hansgrohe's favour. So they were prepared to take the 2% chance that Serrano rides away from them in the last 4.6 k's of the climb and wins this stage, if that meant they could bleed Covey a little bit more. And with Covey just having done a second effort, Buchmann's like, let me go again. And you got the advantage they have here as well is Buchmann's not riding to the finish line with 4 kilometers to go. Buchmann's riding to a different finish line, much shorter, doing bigger efforts. And now the third time Covey has to close, and you see the morale maybe begin to drop. He's looking behind, who else can close this for me? But the Bora moves are the ones he has to close. The Serrano one, less so. And now he knows what's coming. He knows Kämna's going to hit him with a counter, and he's looking, and Kämna makes sure he's behind Covey. Covey turns his head, bang, 8000 Watt, immer grosses Blatt, time to Abfahrt, Lennard Kämna gone. He's back. 3 World Tour wins before this, Catalonia, Tour de France, Dauphiné, high quality rider, and once he has this gap on Covey just didn't have that little bit extra to snap right onto the wheel of Kämna, and you maybe think, oh, well, this is uphill, what does it matter? They're going like 27 kilometers an hour, 30 kilometers an hour when they attack on 5%. Draft still matters, and now you have Kemna, Covey, Fortunato, Sheffield strung out across this group. The only thing maybe Bora got wrong, but it's not really a mistake at all, Bookman just couldn't do it, was Bookman ideally would mark this move with Covey and Fortunato and sit on them. But he'd already done his work. Covey's at breaking point here. He can't offer help to Fortunato, who's like 45 kilos and is not going to bring back Leonard Kemna on a climb at these speeds. So Kemna takes the win. Masterclass in how to work over the breakaway by Bora Hansgrohe. They're so good at working breaks. Hilly terrain, flat terrain, Perlet last year when he won that stage. Puy-Marie they tried with Schachmann and Kemna against Martinez but couldn't get it done. Big congrats to Leonard taking another W. Meanwhile in the peloton or the GC group, nothing happened. It was a bit of a disappointing day on GC. Like they got to the base of the climb, 5Ks left, and Astana didn't really... Well, that's the thing. It's not that hard to climb. So what Lushenko did yesterday, making Lopez lose that time, Lopez in a really difficult position. The main action came really late where the seed Rodriguez's started to attack each other. Rodriguez on Rodriguez violence. Yates looked the strongest at the end, and Poles actually dropped Lopez. So Lopez didn't even obviously feel that good on this climb. Yates would have preferred probably a harder race than this one, but Poles takes the GC, surprisingly to everybody, at Vuelta Andalucia. Kemna wins the stage though ahead of Fortunato, Covey, Sheffield, Serrano, Buchmann, Oldani, Velasco, De Tia and Oliveira. I'm not sure Lopez will be too happy after this race. Poles winning ahead of Cristian Rodriguez second, Lopez third, Carlos Rodriguez fourth, Yates, Hager, Connor van Sevenot, Lutsenko and Sosa rounding up the top 10. Hope you enjoyed these Andalucia videos. If you have, big favor, make sure to check out both my website and the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. If you like those videos, you'll enjoy them as well. Until UAE tomorrow, ciao.